They go, oh shit, we're out of water. And water boy Jim comes walking around like Johnny Appleseed, just putting them everywhere. Give me that bottle. You get a water. You get a water.
From
you get a water.
Las Vegas, Nevada. This is
Everybody was
PodTherapy.
hydrated.
Real people, real problems,
saved
and real
the day.
therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. Now broadcast from the churn. That guy is Sisyphus. I'm Nick Tangeman.
Rolling my stone.
It's time for some pod therapy.
So we get back. So I water everybody up. Everybody gets completely refilled. Everybody's good. Everybody's got full camel packs, full bottles. I took care of business, right? We all hike it back. Everybody's happy. My bag is so light. We get back to the cars. I reweigh the bag, and it's now like 18 pounds. Like, that is how much water came out of this thing. And I didn't have a drop left. When I got to the end, I had not a drop.
Hey, everybody. So we just spent an hour listening to a story that we all thought was finally going to bring some justice.
Yeah.
And,
no. Jim was
very disappointing.
Turns out I am an expert outdoorsman.
Yeah,
and I make great decisions, except for the tent. The tent, looking back, the tent was an overkill. But everything else I made decisions on.
This is all about Jim's hiking story.
It was right, Tangeman.
I'll just tell you, it was very disappointing.
You come to me for all of your needs.
If you've ever wanted to join the Patreon,
I'll tell you all about it. I know
Start
things.
next week.
I know things. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pod Therapy, the show where real therapists answer real questions from real people. We are excited to answer your questions today. Hey, just a quick PSA. For those of you who are already patrons of the show, as we announced in the last episode, here in October, we are going to be making some changes because we're going to be trying to be much more diligent on adding more content to our Patreon channel, making sure there's deep dives. In October, we've already got 2 deep dives scheduled, and we believe more are coming. But we've got one coming up about serotonin and depression, the new research, and an exhaustive deep dive into the relationship between how serotonin affects the brain and what the cutting-edge stuff is telling us and the real nature of depression, and it's really, really good stuff. And then we also have another deep dive, which is a live recording of my panel that I was at Nevada Public Health Conference, a behavioral health panel with experts and me, and we took on a lot of cool stuff. So both of those are coming out in October, and as I mentioned, that will be available for the Therapod level and up. So all of you Therapals that access all the extra content that we do every episode and get the show early and are part of the Discord and enjoy all the extra stuff, if you want to keep dialing in to the future Discord or the future deep dives and interviews, you might want to kick it up to that pod level, but you will still have access to the entire library, the entire archive from the past.
Just curious, what is the Patreon level for a listener to go camping with the 3 of us?
Okay, yeah. Kind of like a jock versus nerd, but we just go camping.
Mm-hmm.
High.
Backpacking? I wouldn't do a backpacking trip.
Real high.
Real high. Yeah. I'd go RVing. I think if they wanted to pop for the RV.
If you want to know what the Patreon level is.
Experience this for real.
Oh, they want to do the real thing.
They want to experience. They don't want to hear the story.
They want to live it.
About Jim. They want to watch
They want to watch me do my glorious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want me there, it's going to be expensive.
It's going to be pretty high to get Jacob there.
If you want to go camping with Jim, I feel like that is a lot less.
I think it is too. The price tag on Jacob
is
If
you want to go camping with Jim and Nick, it's probably high, but probably
I'll go for free. I
exactly.
Just watch
this is
if you want me to go camping with Jim.
That's it. That was it. That was it. What he just said was
if you want to go camping,
it's not
with
about
me and
you.
Nick,
yeah.
It's cheap.
It's cheap. If you just want to go camping with Jacob, give him a call. Let him know when you're free. He might be free. He might want to do that. But to get him to come with me,
you know what? Though
very high price tag.
That is true because there is a non-zero chance it would require us saving your life.
Yeah. Oh, or I might save you, as the last story proved.
No.
Listen, I wouldn't call myself a hero.
Good.
But that's because
I
am exceptionally humble. I mean, maybe the most humble. That's what I'm seeing. Don't throw waters at me. Never again. I'm so scared of them. I'm quite traumatized. We've got some great questions for the show today. Don't forget you can support us at patreon.com/therapy and get access to all that extra goodies that we've talked about a lot and my wonderful camping story.
Never let it be said that I am not a team player.
Yeah.
There is a price to make that happen. I don't know what it is.
There's a currency.
But there's a number that exists.
I'll tell you when you get there.
Yeah.
Let
So-
the bidding war begin.
Whatever that number is, Pod Therapy won't get any of it.
Yeah, no,
I'm
not
guessing.
at all.
Oh, no. Not,
Yeah.
It's
Whatever
We're
y'all's
all-
number is, that's off
That's
to
a
the
separate.
side.
That's a side pot.
Y'all have a number, and I have a different
It's
number.
a different number. Patreon.com/therapy to find out what the hell we're talking about. All right, we got some great questions. We're going to start with this first one here. Midlife crisis, unemployed, and feeling lost. Hey guys, I'm a new listener, but a fan of the show. I came across your show when you did your Reddit AMA and was interested due to some struggles I'm going through. I like your collective discussions on issues and enjoy the banter between you guys. Jumping into it.
Makes one of us.
I am unsatisfied with almost every aspect of my life. I'm mid-30s, unemployed, single, lonely, and directionless. I was unexpectedly asked to resign from my job of 7 years during the start of the pandemic. It was bittersweet because I've been unhappy with my field for a long time, and I'd like a change, but I'd stayed at the job because I enjoyed the team I worked with and I was comfortable. Almost 2 years later, I'm still unemployed. I've sent out hundreds of applications with little response and no job offers. Granted, I am searching outside of my field of experience as I'm determined to change fields, but it is still disheartening. So much so that just looking through job postings has become depressing because what is the point if nothing comes from applying? As I said, I've been unhappy with my work for years. I've never been proud of what I did for work or made much money, but have been able to get by. The "what do you do" question when meeting new people is a dread. This lack of success in my working life, I believe, has affected other aspects of my life as well. Friendships have dwindled. I've not been in a relationship or dated in nearly a decade. I feel like I've lost a lot of my personality that I had when I was younger, and I'm just jaded by my adult life. I need a change, but I don't even know what I want to do or be anymore. I know I'm capable of pretty much anything within reason, but I just lack direction. I know not everyone's timeline is the same, but I feel like I'm way behind my peers, and I'm floundering in what should be my prime years. I'm not working, no social life, no hobbies. In a nutshell, I'm not living, but merely existing poorly. I've been considering seeing a therapist or counselor to see if they might be able to help me sort out all this, but the cost is a hurdle, and being unemployed, and I thought I'd see what your takes are on my situation. Thanks for everything you guys do. You're great, Anonymous.
okay.
I mean, we're definitely not going to recommend seeing a therapist.
No.
Never. No. Not doing that now.
Yeah, I don't have anything else, I guess. That was gonna be
That was
No, but I do
100%. We have one trick. And we're out.
But let's start with something really positive. Number one, I like the fact that you are trying to do something different.
Yeah.
As opposed to just because so many people get stuck in that rut where they kind of feel like, well, I've been doing this for so long. I'm in my mid-30s. I don't want to try something new now.
Right.
The fact that you're not doing that, I think, is awesome. That you're just going to take advantage of this situation. And yeah, there's going to be some hurdles. You may end up having to just take a job just so you have some income.
Sure.
But kind of look at it from the perspective of that like, this isn't permanent. Like, this is just
It's a gig.
yeah, exactly, a gig. That's
It's
a
a
good
gig.
way to look at it. This is a gig.
Sometimes you just need a gig.
Yep, just got to get money so that I can pursue my passions.
Yeah. I think sometimes just holding down something like that actually gives you a lot of freedom to explore. Whenever you start looking around and saying, okay, I don't like what I do. I don't like where I am. I don't feel like my life is moored to this time and space. Then you start getting really creative. And, and I like that the writer's saying, hey, I'm looking at other fields. I'm looking at other disciplines. But after hundreds of attempts and a couple of years of swinging the bat here, Again, during very strange times, Ryder. I mean, let's be fair.
Certainly.
But I can see maybe even starting to do some Hail Mary things, like, taking a job on a cruise line, or doing something that involves like traveling to a whole other place, or really just throwing something big and bold out there that maybe really just uplifts you and says, you know what, I'm going on an adventure. One of these things where they pretty much just pay you your expenses or whatever, and, just put all your stuff in storage for a little while and maybe you get out.
That's true, because you're not really tied down to anything.
It doesn't sound like it.
You're suggesting like Habitat for Humanity or something like that?
I don't know. Like, just one of those things that maybe really gets you out of your space.
Give me an example.
Like working on a cruise.
Okay.
Yeah, like something like that, where you travel, you take a job, maybe just doing something different that, they're always hiring, like on cruise lines and things like that. They're just, they need people to do stuff. And again, like I'm just throwing ideas around. I'm not trying to push too hard on that. Therapeutically, I think a couple of things. First, there's a lot of folks. So if you are unemployed for 2 years, by now you need to be on state insurance. That just has to be a reality. You should have access to whatever your state's version of public assistance is. That's probably going to be called Medicaid in your state. It might be something different, but you're going to have access to that. And a lot of people make the mistake of believing that when they're on that they won't have access to therapists. And that's not true. In our state of Nevada, it's extremely common that therapists take Medicaid insurance. And a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm not going to get access to good therapists. Also not true. And we did a great deep dive interview with Ulrika, a long-term listener of the show, who works in mental health administration, and she explains how to access insurance and use these things and navigate the system. By the way, that is completely free at patreon.com/therapy. You do not have to subscribe to Patreon. That is a publicly accessible episode. You can just go right there and scroll and find it, or search insurance and you'll find that. But a lot of people make the mistake of saying, oh no, I'm on Medicaid or on public assistance. There will not be options. And most often that is not the case. At least here in Nevada, all the therapists that take insurance almost always also take Medicaid. And that's a little unusual. In Nevada, Medicaid is exceptionally good. It is a very reliable income source. Therapists are quite happy to take it, and it's very easy to work with. And a lot of therapists actually complain that other insurances are more difficult, and they actually like Medicaid. So I'm sure it's not like that in every state, but it is definitely the case that there's going to be options. So just a really quick recap of where to find therapy options. One, using your public assistance and calling them and saying, hey, can I get a list of providers that take this, and then doing the groundwork. Two, remember to contact your local universities if they offer any kind of programs where they're training psychologists or therapists. They're going to have a free or dirt cheap option where student therapists are training. And they're fine. They're fully qualified. They're supervised by experts, and they'll be able to sort this with you. I think that's a really good option as well. But just making sure that we maybe consider accessing that, because honestly, this is the kind of thing that I do want you to talk about in therapy. And a lot of people, Nick, don't think that this is something we would talk about. They think, oh, you go to see these guys when you have anxiety. You go to see these guys when you have depression. No, you go to see us when you need to deal with life change, and life direction and discovery. This is absolutely something in our game. We want to do this. So when I have to deal with patients, Ryder, that are dealing with this, I think there's two things that I'm interested in. The very first thing is I'm interested in the internal work. I'm interested in saying, let's explore what your ideal life looks like. I do something called a values inventory. I've talked about it before. Somewhere in our Patreon, I've even uploaded it, and listeners have accessed it and done it themselves. And so you can go there and access that resource. You just search it. So that's an option. But a values inventory is essentially sitting down and saying, okay, what are the things that matter most to me right now? Snapshot of my life. What's important to me? Is it travel? Is it financial status? Is it a beautiful home? Is it raising my children? Is it my health? Is it adventure? Is it romance? Like really starting to crack that egg open and figure out right now what makes you tick. What would a satisfying life look like? We then use that as sort of our map to say, okay, this is the star map that tells us what directions we should even bother with that are going to align with the majority of these values. The second thing I usually do when we're talking about career change is I have people go to the ONET Career Interest Profiler, ONET and then just type in the rest, career interest profile. It's a free test. It's sponsored by the government. It's based on personality. You answer questions, and then it gives you 5 tiers of potential careers that it thinks matches the type of person that you are. And those tiers are sorted based on difficulty to obtain that job. So the 5th tier is like college and experience. The 1st tier is like you could start it tomorrow, entry level. And so they sort all the jobs into all those different categories. Then you can click on them, you can learn how much they make, and then you can take that data, and then let's say you find a job, like let's say you see something on there, you say, oh, I didn't know about, I don't know, you always see something interesting on that thing, like not mortician, but funeral director. One of my patients had that on there. I thought, what an interesting idea. You don't think about that job. But you take funeral director, you copy it, you go over to the BLS.gov, which is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they have something on their website called the OOH, the Occupational Outlook Handbook. It is an encyclopedia of every job and career in America, what you have to do it, how much money they make, where they live, what goes into it, and usually little videos of the person introducing themselves and their life and what it's like. You can paste that job into that box, and you can learn all about that. So those are the first 2 steps I usually do when we're trying to navigate life, career, big change. Now, at the end of the day, if we can get that data and we can say, okay, wow, here's some areas we want to micro-target. These careers feel like they're in alignment with my values. I feel like I have some direction. I feel like I have some clarity. That doesn't obviously guarantee that we're going to find anything, right? Because, and I'm sure you've been applying for jobs over the last 2 years that you did find interesting, and maybe you didn't do an analysis of these ideas, but it felt good, and it didn't come together. And that's tough, Nick, because, I mean, whenever somebody's just, out there swinging the bat and hit nothing but air, gosh, it's hard. It's just really hard to keep up your motivation. And this is a big part of what we do too. How do we keep people motivated when they really feel like they're hitting a wall?
Yeah, that's definitely difficult. And the frustrating thing is, like, you never know when you're going to hit.
Right.
Right. I mean, and sometimes it's even when you're not looking, but I do like the idea of starting off with the values inventory, not just for the career piece, but just for kind of your life in general, because you're not only talking about your career, you're talking about, you don't have any social life, no hobbies, and no relationships, nothing like that. So by starting with that values inventory, and then the next question you can kind of ask yourself is, in which ways am I demonstrating these values? Or in which ways am I not demonstrating, but like feeding these values? That's probably a better way. You can plant flowers, but unless you're going to water them, they're not going to grow. So in what ways do you nurture these values so that they can grow into something? Also, the other thing to kind of take a look at with that too is, in what ways have you nurtured those in the past? You don't have to come up with new things. Sometimes there's things that we used to do in the past that were working really well, and we just got out of the habit, kind of forgot about it.
Right.
And then it's gone now. So in what ways have you met those values or those needs before in the past? Kind of start with that. And then I think that's sometimes the easiest way to start as far as motivation is to start with stuff that we know already works.
Right.
You're not starting from scratch. Even though it may feel that way, we all feel that way at some point. We feel like we're starting from scratch and that we've got nothing to offer. But that's not true. Like, we've all got skills, we've all got talents, we've all got all of these.
And we've all had
things.
successes.
We've
even if the rule feels
Exactly.
like we haven't been successful in years, there's always small exceptions.
And that's one of the
rule.
things that we learn a lot in becoming a therapist.
Yeah.
Looking for the exception, because the exception is the key to solving the problem.
Yes.
So the alcoholic isn't drinking alcohol every day.
Right.
The person who's depressed isn't depressed every hour of every day.
Right.
The person with anxiety doesn't have anxiety every hour of every day.
Yes.
We look for, when is it not there?
And then we try to do more of that.
What happens?
Yes.
And we like, that's an anomaly.
Yes.
So we need to look at that and assess that situation.
In this situation, we can do exactly that.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like, you're right. Not everyone's timeline is the same. You say you feel like you're falling behind your peers. I totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling stuck in my career. I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. And I've been into fitness for a long time, but never actually thought about doing that until one day I just happened to be watching a TV show about personal trainers, and I'm seeing how they're doing stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not how I would do it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know from working with addicts and alcoholics that if you want to create motivation, this is how you do it.
Right.
And then I'm thinking, well, why don't I just do that then?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's kind of what started that whole ball rolling. And then now I'm like, yeah, no one else is doing that. Why is no one else doing this?
Right.
Like, and then so you just kind of, it just happens. So I think, and again, I think that's kind of where the values inventory can be helpful, because it kind of brings that stuff up to like the top of your brain, like to the surface level, so that when you see things, you're already in that mindset and you can kind of capture that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think on this one, Ryder, it's a tough thing to do, and we don't want to minimize it, but this is where we as therapists, and this is why I'm trying to give you so many ideas about how to get into therapy. Because I know that, again, some people think, oh, I can't possibly benefit from that. We are motivation experts. That is one of the most important things that we need to be able to do in order to get people to experience change in other areas of their life, is help them and hold them accountable to make small incremental changes. And when I hear you saying, man, I don't have any hobbies, I don't have any social life, I haven't been able to land the job, I'm feeling defeated, I'm feeling discouraged, I'm feeling stuck. Buddy, if I think to myself of how often in a week I hear that from new patients, you are not alone.
Mm-hmm.
That is so common. And that's why when Nick and I hear this, we go, yeah, bud, that's Tuesday for us. We can help you out of that rut. Like any therapist worth their salt is going to hear that and go, all right, let's go. And they're going to start making a plan. They're going to start helping you stay motivated. They're going to hold you accountable. They're going to find incremental successes. And we're going to try to build a way out of this and rock this car back out of this rut. And it can be done.
Yeah.
It absolutely can be done. But you really got to study small solutions first.
Yeah, I think the two places that people get stuck when it comes to motivation, number one is not believing that it's possible.
Right.
Or number two, being able to identify what's at the top of the ladder, but not being able to see the next rung of
That's
the ladder.
it. Yeah, they're looking too far ahead.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just the really small thing. Like, it's I just need to do one small little thing, and that's it. And maybe that's just, I need to get out of the house and go for a walk.
Right.
Boom.
Right.
That's it. That you start with the smallest thing that you can
Yes.
possibly do, and then do the next thing. And then you just build from there.
Yeah. I know that sounds reductionist. I know it can sound small, but you got to understand that that's what we do for a living. A lot of times we are trying to build fires from embers, and we have to know what ingredients that needs to grow. And this is why I really strongly encourage you, Ryder. I do want to see you get into therapy. This is absolutely the kind of thing you should access. It is possible. There is always an option. And even if you don't have state, insurance, which, by the way, by now you should have applied for, there's always going to be some kind of public service. And if you dial, in our state, it's 211. It's a hotline. You can just dial 211 in Nevada, and they will get you connected to all possible services. I don't know if that kind of phone number exists in your state. Maybe that's universal. I think it might.
Is that an emergency service?
That's
what is that?
988 is the emergency one. 211 is a resource line.
It's
Okay.
United Way, isn't it? Or is that 411?
I was trying to think of
411 is info.
I think it's
from the
211.
90s, dog. You used to
I'm just
dial
try-
411.
I'm just trying to
and
think
ask
of how the
questions.
writer can search for this online.
Yeah, I mean, you'd
Like,
probably.
is there like
Hold on.
a name for this or like a resource
Let
number?
me-
What is
I
this
would
called?
probably
feel like it's
direct you
United
to your
Way.
state's Department of Health. I
Okay.
think that's usually the first stop, because the Department of Health is always going to be a conspicuous Google. You find that, and then you're going to be able to sort out Department of Behavioral Health. It'll be somewhere in there. And somewhere in their system, they're going to direct you to a public resource. It'll be attached to a psychiatric hospital, be an outpatient program. There will be something. And like we also mentioned, there's going to be universities, there's going to be programs that are running things very low budget, and that's very possible. And if you haven't already applied for your state insurance, that needs to be something too. And again, go to our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/therapy. Again, search for insurance inside of our Patreon. There is a free episode that is a deep dive in which Ulrika clearly and very helpfully explains all the tricks for how to navigate this to find help. And you need to know how to do that.
211 appears to be nationwide.
Oh, it's nationwide?
Oh, great.
Yeah, so if
That's
you're
great.
assuming you're from America. But yeah, it's done through the FCC. It's the Essential Communication Services. So
Awesome. Oh, very
That's
cool.
a good place to start.
That is great. Yeah, so dial 211, and usually they'll be able to connect you with resources or at least case manage and get you to something. But friend, I really think this is the kind of thing we want to sit and work with somebody on. Look, a therapist can't help you find a job, right? But a lot of times we can sit down and say, okay, how do we get through this in-between time? How do we get, because that's it. Like, your mind is your greatest resource. Your motivation is a limited thing that we need to inflate. We need to get back on that again. We need to have some direction. We get excited again. And you know what? There's some areas that you can control. Like, you can't control whether somebody says yes and gives you a job. But you can control whether or not you go for that walk, whether you go out with friends, whether you volunteer at a soup kitchen, whether you go visit family. You know, whether you go shovel your grandma's sidewalk during the wintertime. There are things that you can control. And that's what your therapist can be interested in.
All of that stuff just helps you build momentum.
That's it.
That's
life, all it is.
That life momentum, once you're rolling, it's easier to keep rolling.
Yep.
Once you're not rolling, it's harder to start. But like once you're going, it's a lot easier to keep on going.
Yes. Ships at sail are easier to steer, than ones that are anchored in the harbor. And that's it. If we can just get you moving, it doesn't matter if you're going the wrong direction. If we just have momentum, we can steer.
My simple momentum metaphor wasn't good enough. You had to go with the ships.
You got to have the visual.
Have a second metaphor.
Visual, guys. Come on. That's a thing. I feel like it's a thing.
It's always the second best in Las Vegas. That's how you get to that
We
point.
don't know what I am yet.
You take...
We're gonna discover that.
Yeah.
You take what somebody else says.
Currently the second
I'm
best.
I'm going to rephrase that and repeat it.
Yeah.
I did grow from 181st to second behind a physical therapist. So whatever.
Occupational therapist.
Whatever.
Yeah,
So,
not even a physical therapist.
wasn't even that.
Physical therapist, but that'd be respectable.
Ryder, good luck with this. I hope that you find some support for it. This is therapy worthy. It's the kind of thing we work with all the time. But I wish you well, and just keep swinging that bat. At some point you hit something. But we might have to do more than just hit the submit button. We might have to get you out there, taking small victories, volunteering in the community, anything. Just go referee, a kids' t-ball league. Just anything that gets you out of the house. Or take a job at a cruise ship, man. I feel like I played that card pretty hard. I feel like I lobbied.
I feel like you've got like cruise ship on the brain for some reason.
I don't know why that came to me.
I think because you want to do it. I think deep down, I don't
want to do that at all. Do you know how much water you'd need to bring? We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back...
Does the ship have enough fresh water?
You guys have enough... How much water do you carry on the ship,
Do I need to
Captain?
bring my own mattress?
Should I bring a tent? We're going to answer a question about addiction. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Pillow Scoop, Sarah Smith.
Shut up.
Elm.
There's no pillow scoop.
There is.
Oh, God.
Darren Cunningham.
Good job.
And Matt and Lisa Tangeman. Well, so I'll tell you about it later. I reorganized everything
Okay.
as far as our Patreon goes.
good.
So that's some of the names are a little different. Anyway, this week's trivia in honor of our therapy producers is bad advertising slogans.
All right.
Oh, good.
These are all real.
I don't know if I'll get any of these questions right, but this is something that always irks me.
Yeah.
Bad advertising.
You don't like it.
Really irks me.
Yeah, when they
it's not
just
that
do
I
it wrong.
dislike it, but I just look at it and go like, what are you're just wasting money.
Yeah.
You might as well have just like sent me product. You might as well have just mailed me a product.
More effective.
Yes.
Than just all this
Then I would
advertising.
at least know if I want to buy more of your product.
All right.
So I will read the slogan, and I'll give you some choices.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Again,
This is an advertising slogan.
and these are real.
Oh, we got to guess the product?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But you're going to give us, there's multiple choice.
all right.
Multiple choice,
All right.
like
All right.
always.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. The slogan is, good luck.
Good.
Is
Jim Jobin's Camping Adventures.
You have
Final
a cough
answer.
button.
Oh,
You
you're
have a
right.
cough
Yeah,
button.
yeah.
Cough
We
button,
just
Jim.
got
Oh,
a cough button.
Jesus.
Use
Oh,
the
come
fucking
on.
cough button.
Oh, he warned me he was going to shame me if I did it.
Oh,
All right.
my God.
And it
all
was
right.
me, not Nick, after
I
all
know.
that shit I
used
talked.
it like 8 times.
Yeah,
It's
Nick's
really
been using
cool.
it nonstop.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I-
God.
yeah,
All
even when I don't need
I'm
to.
the problem. We're
Okay.
getting closer.
Slogan, good luck.
Yeah.
What a dumb
Is it
slogan.
A, AAA, B, Electrolux vacuums, C, Compound W wart remover,
Oh, wow.
or D, Uzbekistan Airways?
Oh, wow. All of these feel real.
I mean, I want it to be D.
oh.
We obviously all want it to be D.
Uzbekistan. Rest in peace. Oh, man.
So it's airline, compound W wart remover, a vacuum?
Electrolux vacuums, or AAA?
I feel like I would have heard about this if it was AAA.
But that almost feels like a good one, doesn't it? Because AAA is like the whole value of AAA is roadside assistance.
Yeah.
That is what you're getting it for.
Yeah.
And then occasionally get hotel discounts. But it's just about the peace of mind. And I could see them spinning
Man, you used to get a fuck ton of discounts with AAA.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You used to be able to like show a AAA card in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
oh, here's 20% off.
Yeah, restaurants would hook you up.
Yeah.
Hotels was huge, but I don't feel like the value's there anymore.
It doesn't seem like.
And then
I
I,
know nothing about
lease, and leasing cars, you get roadside assistance
Right.
with your dealer. So like I've gave up AAA a long time ago.
I don't lease, and I get roadside assistance with my dealer.
Do you really?
Yeah, with Ford. Yeah,
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Just like it's something you buy into.
It might have been. I don't know.
Okay, it's probably like a package.
It,
Like,
it may have been.
when you're checking out, they
Yeah.
give you the
Sure, sure.
upsells, and it's probably like, yes, that is worth it. See, and I could see that being a slogan though, where it's like, oh, something bad happens on the road. You're in the middle of traveling. Bad luck. AAA. Good luck. Right? Right?
Hey, that sounds.
I-
hey, yeah. Is
The
that
ad
what you-
copy
is that
writes
where
it.
you're going?
That's a solid ad copy.
that your
right?
I got no problem with your logic there at all.
I know that's a solid one. I feel like AAA could be a good one.
You going AAA?
Uzbekistan Airlines, I'm pretty sure Uzbekistan doesn't have any airlines. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not safe to fly over Uzbekistan. I don't know why, but that's what I think.
Hey, Jim, where's Uzbekistan?
I'll give you an easier one. What country did Uzbekistan used to be a part of?
Oh, come on. I don't know. Whatever it's next to. Why would I know that?
Most of
I
the
don't know the
countries
first
that
one.
are stands came from another country,
Turkey.
a mother country, if you will.
I don't know. China?
Man, I'm just I'm just lobbing them.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do.
I don't know what we're talking about.
USSR.
Soviet Union.
Oh, that
Yeah.
one. Okay. I think, what the
You
fuck's
didn't know what the
USSR?
USSR was,
Yeah.
did you?
You gotta
Us-
spell these
us-
things out.
Yeah.
Us-
I
us-
literally did. I literally spelled it out.
All right. So it sounds like you're going AAA.
I'm going to go AAA.
I'll go with the vacuum. Although I really want to go with the wart remover.
The wart remover would be a good one.
I mean, it kind of
Yeah.
does make sense,
It's-
right? Like-
it is not the wart remover. It is Uzbekistan Airlines.
No.
It's the one we thought was a joke.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Really?
Yep.
And they just say Uzbekistan Airlines.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Uzbekistan Airlines.
He's Googling it.
It should
Wow.
now.
It didn't even
It should
understand
be.
what I said.
It should be Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what
Yeah.
it should be.
Did you hear that Biden is trying to
Uzbekistan
pass a
Airlines.
law
Yeah.
to like make it illegal to just like price gouge people
Yeah.
at the gate and be like, oh no, you got a stuffed animal, it'll be $75.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Like, good for them. Every once in a while, the United States government works. And this is one of them, just to restrain specifically Spirit Airlines.
UZAirways.com takes you to Uzbekistan Airlines. It's still loading.
Good luck. What a dumb slogan for an airline. What are you thinking? Like, obviously, that is terrifying. Anybody who's seen Final Destination is already really scared of airlines. And now it's like, hey, fly on our planes.
Yep.
If you're lucky, it'll be okay.
Honestly, Spirit could do it, and because like Spirit knows.
They know.
Yeah.
the deal.
They're not
They know
hiding
the
it.
deal. No.
Yeah, they could get away with that
You're
because they're so
50-50.
upfront.
You don't know what's
They
gonna
know they're
happen
shitty.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, you're getting on the plane, and then like the pilot, says, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please buckle up. We are about to take off, and we know you have many choices whenever you choose to fly. We
You made
thank
the
you
wrong
for
choice."
choosing Uzbekistan Airlines. Good luck."
Good luck.
I'd rather hear that than welcome to Spirit Airways.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather hear a lot of things.
We know you have many choices. Good luck.
Yeah.
Pilot out. Oh, shit.
Yep.
We wish you luck. What? Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a terrible one. All right, next question. Question about addiction from Lydia. Hey guys, I started listening to the podcast a few months ago and have learned so much about mental health, therapy, and most importantly, geography. Thanks, Lydia. I feel like I found the show at such a perfect time in life, as I feel like I'm in a healthier mental state to kind of process things in my life, and it's good timing because I needed something to do on my lunch breaks. I'm 23 years old, and my dad has been struggling with alcohol addiction the past few years. I know his life hasn't been easy: poverty, losing his wife, losing jobs, regrets about not being there for me and my siblings, etc. But recently, it's been, in my opinion, going well overall. I don't really know why he started drinking or why he continues to do so. He's admitted he has an issue and is going to counseling, yet he continues to drink. I feel helpless. What can I do to support him? A lot of resources I've tried looking into mostly just talk about how an addict's choices are their choices, and not to blame yourself for it, which I can see that being important, but what can I do to help him? I don't really know much about how addiction works. I know with people in abusive relationships, for example, it's pretty insensitive to say, just leave the relationship. So are there things with alcohol addiction that I should be careful not to say or do? Would it be helpful if I did something with him, like, say, start exercising together? Or is that a naive idea? It's also hard for me to understand his struggle, as it seems like he's been doing so well lately. He's lost some weight, he's gotten more connected with me and my siblings, and would appear happier when we are together. How can he seem like he's doing so well when actually he's really struggling? My family's recommended he join a group like Alcoholics Anonymous, but he wasn't open to it. It seems like the idea of going to a group made him feel ashamed and embarrassed. I would really appreciate any practical advice and any insight into the psychology of addiction. Thanks, Lydia. My pronouns are she and her.
I love these every once in a while. Somebody just sets one on a tee for me.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good one.
So, all right. So the first thing, I'll tell you what flight attendants say on planes all the time.
In Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Sir, please put out the cigarette. No,
They don't tell you that in Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
they don't.
It's fine.
Sir, please close the door in the bathroom.
Roll up the window. You're letting all the smoke out.
Right.
No. They'll say, put on your mask before assisting others. Okay, so that would always be my first piece of advice for family members. And what we mean by that is a lot of your focus, because you care about your father, or to anybody else who's listening, because you care so much for this individual, you tend to put your own needs aside. And you sacrifice, and it starts off with little small sacrifices until it gets to a point where now you're not even paying attention to your own life. Everything is about this other person. So I always encourage people right away to try to get into Al-Anon. It's basically Alcoholics Anonymous, except it's for family members, not the alcoholics or not the addicted person. So it's a support group for you. And I think that could be very enlightening for you. Get involved in that. You get to hear from other people who are going through very similar situations. You can learn from things that they've already, somebody has already blazed this trail for you. So you can learn through them, the best ways to deal with this. And it really kind of sounds like you're kind of at a spot right now where things haven't gotten crazy out of hand yet,
Right. Yeah.
which is awesome. So you can get involved right away. The other piece of advice that I would say is, if he has a counselor that he is seeing, is he open to maybe you going in and sitting in on one of those sessions?
Great idea.
Because if you want to be supportive, one of the best ways that you can do that is to learn from him and his counselor
Yes.
how to be supportive, because they'll teach you.
Yes.
They will teach you, here's what you can do to support me.
Right.
And I wouldn't necessarily just get that strictly from him,
No.
because
yeah.
addicts and alcoholics can abuse that.
Yeah, it's great to hear it,
Yeah.
but if you could get your way into that session and say, hey, I'm here to
Yeah.
learn, I just want to
Yeah.
support my dad. And
Yeah. But if him with his counselor having a session, and they can invite you in and say, hey, you're a support system, here are the ways that
we
you can
love
help.
that.
Absolutely.
We love it.
Anytime I could get a family member involved,
Yeah.
it increases the success rate.
Yeah.
So it's very,
If they can
very
only
helpful.
do one, that or Al-Anon. Assuming that the counselor is fine with them coming in.
I'd start with, I don't know. Al-Anon is so useful,
It
though,
is really
because
useful.
I would go Al-Anon.
because I think I would too, because Al-Anon, you don't need his permission to do it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
You don't need anybody else.
And
you
you
can
should
do
go
that all
learn-
by yourself.
And I'll tell you what else. The other reason I think I would do Al-Anon is Al-Anon is for you.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Like if you're going to the counseling session, that's for him,
Mhm.
and you're just there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like that.
Absolutely.
And it's a wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely.
There's a whole library of knowledge there.
The other thing too, because you're kind of new to the whole addiction world, and you say something like, is it naive to do this, or I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't want to trigger him. This is very common for a lot of people who are kind of new to addiction, and they're trying to be supportive. You kind of feel like you're walking on eggshells, but let me tell you, you're not going to break him.
Right.
There's nothing that you're going to do that is going to be the thing that he's just like,
afraid.
He's just like, oh, that's it. This is the last thing.
They're not made of glass.
Exactly.
He's not on a precipice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was something that when I was new to addictions treatment, I remember my supervisor kind of told me too. It's like, it's like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing, and then my supervisor's like, Nick, he's been living behind a dumpster for a month.
It's gonna be fine, bud.
Yeah. How much power do you think you have that you're gonna say something?
Yeah, this man's done
And it's
lines
just like,
longer than you. It's okay.
Like, I mean, they're survivors. They
yeah.
really have
Been
had to
through it all.
work to be able to survive, given the situation that they're in. Like, you're not gonna break them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think there's something else I was going to say too. Now I kind of forgot it, but
Well, on this point of Al-Anon, real quick,
Yeah.
because I've been a member. I've been a member of Al-Anon, and it's been just a profound help for me, and just really getting that access to the support and just the nurturing of other people who feel as I feel, who are also looking at somebody in their life that do they love them. And boy, do they not have a whole lot of ideas about how to be helpful. And so it's really great to have those people in your life who can really kind of nurture you and teach you and give you things. One of the big things that we get in Al-Anon is what we call the 3 C's. We remind each other, you didn't cause this, you can't control this, and what's the third?
you can't cure it.
There it is. You can't cure it. And so, that's important because each of us feel as you feel, writer, Lydia, we feel the sense of like responsibility, like, oh, I should be doing more. Maybe if I do yoga with them, maybe if I can help them, maybe if I can take them out, maybe if I can commit to like card games every Friday night and then they won't drink on their own, or maybe I should call them every day after work. And it's like, nah, you can't control it or cure it.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest lies that people tell themselves is
Right.
like, if I do this, then he'll stop.
If I do a controlling behavior.
Exactly.
Yes.
But here's what you have to understand, and this is where the field of addiction has changed dramatically over the last 30 years. Because back in the day, that was the philosophy, was that like, okay, you just need willpower and you need to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And if you got willpower and you're disciplined, then you can overcome this. But what we've realized now, because the science has advanced and now we can do brain scans, we can see how a brain actually works in real time. We understand this is a biological issue.
Right.
It manifests in behaviors, but ultimately it does reshape the brain. It changes the connections, the neural pathways in the brain. It modifies that reward system. And as a result, to say to somebody who is really truly addicted to alcohol to just stop doing it is kind of equivalent to being like, you just need to stop eating.
Right.
No food. You cannot eat any more food. It's that kind of drive that this person has. So like, what kind of power do you have over somebody? Like, if you met up with him every Thursday to play cards, would that be enough to get him to stop eating?
Right.
No.
And this is why in addictions treatment, we have people that come to us all the time and ask, oh, how do I get this person to stop?
Yeah.
And we always kind of look at them like with sympathy, I think, in our eyes.
Well, you can start by tying them down.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me show you how to tie a knot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is. But no, we kind of look at them with sympathy because we need to teach them they will only be able to stop when they are ready.
And let's say that the common wisdom was still willpower.
Right.
No one has perfect willpower.
Right.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's hard.
You're going to lose the willpower at times.
Yeah.
The best of us are going to lose the willpower at times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why it doesn't work.
And this
exactly.
Yeah, and this is why
and then once you've fallen off, we all know it's easier to stay off. I mean, it's all that.
And this is why when we talk about things like relapse, I don't talk about a relapse as being a single event. I talk about a relapse as being a scale.
Yes.
Like a scale from 0 to 10, and think of 10 as the actual using. The thing is that people think that, people that, that Jim and I know that have 25 years clean and sober, that they've been at zero on that scale for 25 years.
Yeah.
And that's very far from the truth. The truth is they're on that scale all the time.
Oh yeah, they're
had
lots of close
constantly
calls.
fluctuating.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
thing
They're
that
living
makes,
at 3 on a normal day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
The thing that makes them different from the people who can't maintain long-term recovery isn't that they're not on the scale. It's that those people know they're on the scale.
Yes,
and they're
it's the
able to
insight.
recognize
They are
where they
aware.
are on the scale.
Yep.
People with 25 years clean, they can tell you, oh shit, I'm at a 7 right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
I need to do something.
They have that
Well,
insight.
I went and saw Aerosmith last night, and their concerts got pushed back for a couple of months because Steven Tyler was back in
Oh, yeah.
rehab
Oh,
after
right.
had a I believe I haven't looked this up, but I'm just talking out of my ass. But even if this wasn't the case, this happens to people all the time.
Yeah.
He went in for a minor surgery.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
The painkillers and everything coming out of it, and it triggered some using
Yep.
on his part. And he said, you know what? This is happening right now.
Yep.
I'm putting everything on hold. I'm
Yep.
going back into rehab. See you in a month.
Yep. Because anything I put in front of my recovery, I will lose.
Yeah.
That includes this career.
Right.
It's got to stop. Full stop.
And I mean, that's someone in the public eye. That's someone who's been very famous for a very long time.
Yes.
And it's, they're right there with you.
But again, it comes back to why can
But he has
do
that experience.
It's the experience, but it's also the self-recognition. My willpower is insufficient to do this.
Right.
I am not going to white knuckle a world tour and,
Because
and be
he's
able to
tried.
do this. I can't.
People like that have tried to do
Right.
it.
And then
And they know that they can't do it.
crashes and burns. And he knows he can't. So he's like,
Yeah.
nope, full stop. We got to. But this is the difference. He wants that. He knows he's done. He needs the help. He accepts the help. And Lydia, that's one of the most challenging things that we talk about with family members all the time. There is no magic trick that you can do, which is why we sit you down and say, you didn't cause this. You're not responsible for this. You can't control this. There is no intervention or amount of behaviors you can do that are going to make this better, and you can't cure this. Now, having said that, we still want you to have a healthy relationship with your father.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's available.
Yeah.
And you can help.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
can be helpful.
And rooting people on. Like you said, hey, Dad's going to counseling. Dad is making progress. Dad has lost weight. Dad seems more active, but Dad still, we are all aware, has a dependent relationship on alcohol, but a lot of things are going the right direction. I think anytime that we see somebody doing the right thing, we want to celebrate that. Want to tell people, Dad, I love that you've been going to counseling. How is that going? Oh, I don't know. I like it. It's just fine.
And of course,
means
that
the world
makes
to
it
me.
easier.
Yes.
Of course, it
yes.
is easier to do things with a support system.
Right.
And so you are being that.
Yes.
You are being that support system, or at least
Rooting
part of
for
that support
people.
system.
Yes, encouraging them. And again, I don't want it to be your responsibility, but I do think that there's room for you to learn more about addiction generally, which is why I think we both like the idea of Al-Anon. I don't know that your dad's counselor is going to sit you down and do a seminar on this, because for all we know, Nick, this could happen. I've had this happen where Lydia might say, Dad, could I go see your counselor? Would it be cool if I did like a couple session with you and like talked? And like, oh, sure, come on in.
And the
then-
counselor doesn't want it.
And the counselor doesn't know.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I've seen
Right.
situations where I've sat down and like, hi, this is, my daughter. And I'll be like, oh, hi, Lydia, great to meet you.
What are you doing
Yeah.
here?
So
you
I
just dropping your dad off?
Right. And I've had situations where they say, so, I'm just really glad Dad's been seeing you, Jim. It's really great. And I just wanted to learn about, what your thoughts are on Dad's alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I've had situations where I go, his what?
Yeah.
And I'll look at Dad and I'll be like, you're drinking? Like you've never brought that up. Like we've been talking about sadness and grieving and these changes and other
Yeah.
things, and that was important.
So maybe you
What?
talk to the counselor before going.
No, and I think, and I think the appropriate way to do this, talk to your dad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Say,
Dad's
hey,
gotta say yes.
I'd like to be involved. Are you willing for me to be involved? Do you want me to be involved? If he says yes, then the next step is he talks to his counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And says, hey, could we do
Almost
a
always
session?
counselors, and sometimes, I don't know what that counselor's going to say. I've had situations where people have asked me, hey, do you think it's a good idea if so-and-so comes with me? And I've had situations where I've said, no,
No, yeah.
that's not my treatment plan right now.
Not just yet.
I just don't think
Not
now's a good time. And so again, Lydia, this is why I think we're all three of us singing the song of like, hey, Al-Anon's a great resource.
Yeah.
It exists for a reason. They can teach you about addiction. They can also teach you what you can and can't do. They can also give you that blind spot check on things like codependency and where we're getting ourselves enmeshed and enabling or just enmeshing and like learning how to not do that. But then how we can be supportive and nourishing to another person, that's good too.
And I think that's one of the things that you'll have to learn is you have to learn appropriate boundaries.
Yeah.
Here's a list of the ways that I will be supportive. Here's the list of things that I will not do.
Yeah.
Because that's really important, because sometimes the line of like, am I helping or am I enabling a behavior can become very blurry.
And you don't say dad's doing this, but what Nick and I are talking about is like situations where dad calls and says, oh my gosh, I'm going through so much right now. I'm short on rent, and it's like, oh, but dad, you've been going to the bar every night and like got $100 bar tab every night, and now you're short on rent. I'm drinking because I'm depressed. I'm depressed because I'm short on rent. I'm short on rent because I drink. I don't have an answer for the cycle, but I need help. And then a lot of times you go, shoot, well, okay, I guess I can fix this one thing. Like, I'll cut you a check. And this is where if we were sitting adjacent to you, we'd be like, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's not helping, But I don't hear that in this letter. But we're just highlighting it because it's relevant to the topic.
Yep.
And there's somebody listening that goes, huh, yeah, that is happening to me right now. And so, but it's a great question, Lydia. And I think big picture, we like hearing dad's on the uptick. We like hearing that you love him and that you want to be supportive of him. Hopefully we're giving you suggestions about how to do that. Nick also talked a little bit about the psychology of addiction, which you did ask about at the end of that question. And hopefully all of this kind of gives you the notes that you need to kind of take the next step. But we love that you're this supportive, and we love that you're with him.
I was just going to say, Al-Anon, I would almost, Al-Anon.
Yeah, it just
Go,
seems like a slam dunk.
It's please do that. And I would almost want you to do that before going and even sitting down with the counselor.
I think so. Yeah, I think
because then you're gonna learn about it before diving headfirst into it.
Yeah, pick up one of the Al-Anon books. Go to the Al-Anon bookstore online. Grab the 12 Steps and 12 Principles. Like, I think that would be a great opening piece.
Yeah,
very short book.
Last thing here, real quick, because you say in there, it seems the idea of going to group made him feel ashamed or embarrassed. I just want to highlight that for a second because, yes, that is 100% real. A lot of people are going to feel very ashamed and embarrassed, and that keeps a lot of people from actually seeking help.
Yeah.
Because there is still a really strong stigma against substance use disorder. And it was one of those things, too, where, like, Jim and I both worked for a nonprofit organization that treated substance use disorder. And we were both involved in fundraising activities. And man, there's groups that can raise money pretty easily.
Yeah.
Anything having to do with kids with illnesses.
They
can bring in money.
Oh, everybody will run 5K.
Try
getting people to run 5K for
Susan
alcoholism.
G. Coleman.
Yeah.
The breast cancer stuff, all that stuff.
Lot of things, boys. They're public support.
Yeah,
We come around knocking on
and
doors.
by the way,
Nick and I dressed as Santa in front of Walmart. We're
Yes.
jingling a bell saying, "Hey, put some money in the can here for alcoholism," and they're like, "Fuck those drunks."
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, oh, okay, got
and
it.
it is still because we still haven't made a whole lot of progress yet. And really, even the disease concept of addiction, because when people hear that and they don't understand what that means, their immediate reaction is, that's bullshit.
Right.
This is a choice. They're doing it to themselves.
They stole grandma's pearls and pawned them.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's a disease.
And the disease concept of addiction does not mean that they are not responsible for the behaviors.
No.
But what it means, it has to do with the biological effects of the brain.
We're just using medical words because it's a medical situation.
It is.
That's
so there is a lot of shame and embarrassment when somebody finally has to, like, that's why I think people always say they have to hit rock bottom. I think it's because sometimes it's not only is it because they don't see it as a problem, but because it takes that for them to finally be like, okay, to hell with the shame and embarrassment. I got to do something about this. I'll finally do it.
I want to quickly just say there are many ways toward health. We are advocates of AA and smart recovery and team support ideas as well as therapy but definitely I want to take a second just to acknowledge there are people that say, look, I didn't want to do it for one reason or another, but I went to therapy, I went to rehab, or I did my program, and I'm healthy now. And that does happen. It isn't the case that everybody must do it the AA way, but I think what we're commenting on is the part where he says this. We go, oh yeah, we've heard that song, a million times. And this is yet another reason why if we can get you an Al-Anon, you're going to talk to people who absolutely relate to that sentiment, whose loved one is also resistant to whatever. But again, your dad is already a light year ahead of a lot of these folks. He is in counseling. I don't know how much of that counseling is focused on his relationship to alcohol, but at least he has a person. And that is a great step.
Yeah. And something else you're going to learn in Al-Anon is how to talk to him about these things and about these concerns, about about him being embarrassed, the stigma of it and everything. And you're going to learn to say things to him like, if you go and do this, if you go and get this help, this group help and whatnot, I'm not going to be ashamed of you. You're not going to have to be embarrassed with me. You might feel shame and embarrassment with people that you don't know.
Right.
There are going to be other people in that room that you don't know. But you're anonymous. You are. It's right there in the name.
Yeah.
It's the second word right there in there. it's the second A. It's for anonymous. So other people aren't going to know about this unless you choose to tell. You don't have to tell. You don't have to give them your fucking name when you walk into the room.
Go in.
You can give a first name. You can give a fake name.
Go on Zoom.
Nobody
Join
cares.
a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Nobody cares at all. And so you're going to pick things up like, Dad, I'm going to love you and I'm going to support you, and I would love it if you would do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too that I would always tell people when they're considering, like the person with the substance use disorder, the one that's considering going into a support group or going into treatment, but having to deal with that shame and embarrassment. I would kind of point out to them like, okay, I want you to think about all the people in your life, all the people that you know that are important to you. How many of them would be ashamed of you going into treatment versus how many of them would be proud of you for doing it?
Right.
And I'll bet all of them,
Yeah.
at least 99%, are going to be proud of you for
Uncle Lou,
doing something about
But
it.
Uncle Lou's an asshole.
He is an asshole.
Or there's always the shoe on the other foot thing.
Yeah.
Dad, what if it was me?
Yeah.
Right.
If it was me, what would you be telling me?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say, don't go, I'll think less of you?
Yeah.
Or would you say, for the love of God, you do whatever you have to do to get healthy. I'll come with you. I'll drive you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, Lydia, all of this language is after you get your own mask on.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the airplane metaphor. You are not responsible for controlling this.
Nope.
You are not responsible for curing this. We want you
Also,
to start
you don't
want to
be.
You can't.
No.
You
You don't want to try.
Not going to happen.
Nope.
You start with you. You'll learn the rest on the way. And there's some great tips here that we've thrown out there that are a little bit more down the road. Start with you.
Yep.
That's what we want you to do. And look, we know that you have a lot of options whenever you choose the podcast you're going to listen to. But we thank you for flying Uzbekistan Airlines.
Good luck.
And good luck.
Good luck.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking about emotional abuse. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
The good luck has something to do with a translation with something in the country motto.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's not purely like a business motto. There's something else to it in there. I can't quite tell from the reading a quick Google article and then having to re-engage with Lydia's question, but there's something in there.
All of you tuned into Pod Therapy, and none of you thought you were going to learn anything. So there you go.
I should have.
Why start now?
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kasab, Carolyn Albert, Pillow Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, and Matt and Lisa Tangeman. Would you like to sponsor the show? Go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up to be a therapy-producer. Do it today.
Do it. Do it now.
Bad advertising. Question number 2. The slogan is painfully thick. Is it A, Dr. Scholl's Orthotics? Is it B, cough button? Hey, good job.
Hey, he used the cough button. Shame works on Joe.
Oh, gasping for air.
Okay. Painfully thick. That's all I have to do.
You don't have to hit the cough button when you're laughing.
All right. Is it
Gatorade thick?
That was the episode we were on with you guys, is Gatorade Thick.
Was it?
Oh,
Yep,
wow.
the first time we were on ICS was the Gatorade Thick episode.
I don't remember anything about that episode other than that
It was
slogan.
also In Sepsis, I believe is what it was called.
Dr. Scholl's Orthotics.
All right.
McDonald's milkshakes.
Oh God.
Ilea Limitless Lash Mascara.
Oh wow.
Or Chesterfield cigarettes.
Oh
man.
Oh, these are glorious.
If you had said Dairy Queen Blizzard,
that would have worked.
I would have jumped right on that.
I would have jumped on it too.
Yeah.
That would
Not one of these is acceptable. Like it's obvious whoever wrote this slogan should have been
going
fired.
Milkshake. I'm going milkshake.
You're going McDonald's milkshake?
Because like you can like pop a blood vessel in your eye trying to suck like a super cold milkshake through a straw.
Yeah.
Just wrapping his mouth around that milkshake.
Yeah.
It's just painfully thick.
That's right.
This is ridiculous.
All right, what you got?
This show has cratered, gentlemen. We have hit the bottom.
But we have
Jacob and I are
buttons.
handling this like adults.
Can we just agree that whatever this needs to be the slogan of Pod Therapy?
It can't be. It's already the slogan for
Painfully
something else.
thick.
Yeah.
All right. So my options are a shoe insole,
Dr. Scholl's orthotics.
which is dumb, painfully thick. Like, of course, that's not it.
That
You
doesn't feel
you don't want
that doesn't
anybody
feel
to
right.
think about pain.
No.
The shake thing,
Milkshake.
It's just ridiculous.
Yep.
This person sucking on a milkshake, and then all of a sudden, just the words right over them. Painfully thick. Okay, what are the cigarettes and then
Chesterfield cigarettes.
also just sucking on this cigarette.
I mean, that's the one I want to go with. Honestly.
Painfully thick.
And I should have learned from the first one to go with the one that I wanted to go
It's
with.
just so ridiculous.
And the third one is mascara.
It's so dumb.
Mascara's pretty good.
Is mascara the one that they put on their eyes?
Yeah, it's eyelashes.
Okay.
Yes.
They
Painfully
brush
thick.
it.
Painfully thick eyelashes.
Yeah.
Do they like thick eyelashes? Is
That's
that
That's
why
the
they do
idea.
it?
That's
That
the
is the
whole
point
of
of mascara. Is to
I
thicken
thought it
them
was
up.
long eyelashes.
Well, they don't
Yes.
add length,
Oh.
but they
They
add
add volume.
thickness.
Yeah, they had girth.
They add volume. These are very loud eyelashes.
Eyelashes are making my ears bleed. Painfully thick eyelashes. Maybe that, because I could see it being like, we can use the word painfully and it's not really going to scare away too many customers. They like thick. I don't know what, I mean, pain is beauty. Maybe they're going for that. And it's like,
Okay.
oh, pain is beauty. And these are painfully thick.
You going
So
eyelashes?
they're really beautiful. Yeah, I'm going eyelashes. I talked myself into
All
it.
right, let's hear it,
I'm going on eyelashes. But just for the record, somebody deep throating a cigarette and it's saying painfully thick, I'm in love with it. And I want, for the record, this is what I care about in life.
It is the milkshake.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Was a McDonald's milkshake
McDonald's milkshake.
painfully thick?
Yeah. Now, I did like the Chesterfield cigarettes because that does sound like a 50s
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so.
painfully thick milkshake.
Yeah.
And for international listeners, it's been illegal in the U.S. for quite a while to like heavily advertise cigarettes. There are only certain ways that cigarette
Yeah.
companies can advertise now.
Yeah.
I do have a tiebreaker for later, so
Oh,
even
all
though
right.
we don't need it, it'll be a fun one.
Even though I've already won.
Yes.
Did he get both of them?
No,
No.
he got one. Neither of you got the first one.
Oh.
Yeah. It's 1-0 is the final score.
That's about right.
Yeah.
All right. Damn, this is a great trivia day. I'm just absolutely
I'm pretty proud of
thrilled.
this one.
You should
That's a
be.
good
This
one.
is this is this is your symphony, my man. This is well done. What is
This is by far the best thing you've ever done on this show.
Yeah, we could stop here. You
I'm
could
done.
Retire.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm
hang
not
up
even
the
gonna answer
gloves.
this last
No,
one.
just
Yeah.
glide. Just
Yeah.
you could only fuck it up from
Yeah.
here. You had a good second question. These trivias are wonderful. Just walk away, man. Nobody's gonna judge. What is emotional abuse from Anonymous? Hello, I have a question about emotional abuse. Namely, how do you define it? If you search online, there are a lot of checklists and signs to look for, but a lot of them seem to center on things that are very context dependent and subjective. For example, I've seen a lot of makes jokes at your expense. But for a lot of people, roasting and teasing is a sign of affection, not malice. If you define it as...
Not when I do it.
Not when Jacob does it. If you define it as something that hurt you, that's also not right, since everyone reacts badly to innocent things sometimes. Another one is tries to control you. That's also really subjective. A parent telling you to do the dishes isn't abusive, but it is controlling. I know at the end of the day, it's not the label that is necessarily important, but how you and the other person react and deal with what's going on. But I'm asking this mainly because I've been in an abusive situation, but didn't do anything about it because I kept rationalizing it away based on the sort of doubts that I mentioned before. I convinced myself that I was just being overly sensitive, rather than that the behavior was unacceptable. He wasn't hurting me on purpose. The things he did were just defense mechanisms, not malicious. He never got violent or yelled. He always had a reason for why it was okay that he acted a certain way. We got along great 99% of the time. Losing him wasn't worth the risk of putting my foot down. In hindsight, with the benefit of being able to see the entire pattern of behavior, I can say, yes, that was abusive and not okay. But if I try to apply the definitions I've seen, I still don't think it meets the criteria. I don't know at what point I should have realized, hey, this is really abusive, even if it's unintentional, and I need to do something. Where's the line between sometimes a jerk, which we all are, and abusive? Thanks. Would love to hear your thoughts, Anonymous.
So whenever I want to find the definition of something like this, I always go to Instagram first.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. It's kind of like, oh, do you have a meme that you're going to read? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Social media has not been helpful with this particular word.
Yeah, because, it's one of those things where, like, okay, so when I read the title of this, what is the emotional abuse? Like, I know what that is.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
But as the writer talks about it, yeah, these are all solid points.
Yeah.
And the more you think about it, the more it's like, yeah, there's no real clear definition.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like it's kind of in the
it's in the eye of the
beholder. That's
yeah.
what I was gonna say. Kind of the from the person's perspective, the victim's perspective, I guess, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
But then again, there too, like, I don't know. It's hard. I think there's a couple things that kind of stick out to me. Like you make a really good point, like tries to control you, and like, well, the parent telling you to do the dishes is someone that's controlling you. Although that is a little bit different in the sense that is not an equal relationship, parent-child. But that also doesn't mean that abuse is okay.
Boss employee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people who tell you what to do all the time.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. So there's different power structures, power dynamics, where relationships are not always going to be 50-50 or on equal ground, I should say. There's going to be a hierarchy.
Right.
And I think what really comes down to is the abuse part.
Yeah.
It comes down to like the manipulation, coming down to doing something with the intent to cause harm, either emotional harm or physical harm.
Physical abuse, very easy to define.
Yep.
There it is. Contact happens. It's assault. We have real clear legal definitions for this. I don't care for the phrase emotional abuse. In my work, I don't care for it because of this problem, because it is very difficult to define. It's not got clinical criteria. I don't know what it means. And more often than not, it's a Rorschach test. You, the patient, will tell me, this is my backstory, and I'm listening, and you say, and anyway, he was really emotionally abusive, or this person was really emotionally abusive. And once I hear that, I kind of go, okay, cool. I'm not going to qualify that.
Exactly. And you're not going to question it.
Not going to question
You're
it.
not going to be like,
but
was he really?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
I care, but it's not clinically important for me to litmus test that phrase and go, but does it meet all 9 criteria of major depressive disorder? Like, no, I don't. There's not a test anymore. It's like if you said, anyway, he was a Gemini, and you know how they can be, Jim. Great. How was he? Like, go ahead and fill in the rest of that sentence. Well, he was really two-faced. Sometimes they're this and then they're that. They're hot and then they're cold. Okay, cool. So it sounds like he was really difficult to read. Exactly. A Gemini.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That must have been really confounding for you. It was. It was really, a Gemini. You get it, right? Yeah. I'm really just interested in the part where you tell me more about this person.
Right.
And what your relationship was like. Because at the end of the day, phrases like emotional abuse, or even when people tell me like, oh, my ex is a narcissist, or my ex is blah, blah, blah. And they have all these new terms, right? My ex was a gaslighter, and it's like, I don't want to say I don't care, because that comes off wrong. That translates wrong on this show, where people think, oh, geez, you're dismissive of it? You don't care? No. It's not clinical for me. It doesn't teach me much about them. It teaches me about the dynamic. And that's useful. I do want to hear. And if these are the words a person uses to describe the situation, I am absolutely learning. but I'm learning in a very careful way. If I sit down with you and you say, so anyway, my ex had anxiety disorder, I don't have as many questions about what they were like. I can mostly get the fill in the blank stuff because I know what the clinical definition of anxiety disorder is. You're using that real phrase. If you said something like, my ex was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, I know what that probably looked like and what it was like for you. But when you say, my ex was emotionally abusive, my immediate follow-up is, oh, geez, what was that like for you? And that's great because I want to know that stuff. So there isn't a definition of it, which is why I don't prefer to use it from me to them. Like, oh, what you're describing is called emotional abuse. This is what that means. Here's the diagnosis. Now you know you've been the victim of emotional abuse. I don't find that to be a useful line of thought.
So let me summarize and paraphrase what I think I heard you say, and you tell me whether or not this is an accurate description.
Okay.
That for you, from your perspective as the helper,
Mm-hmm.
the label does not lead to healing.
No, I just think it's a distraction. Well, I mean, not a distraction, but it's just not. It's not
doesn't,
clear.
Well, it doesn't get you from where they are to them being at a better place.
Right.
It's not the label. The label is irrelevant to that.
Yeah.
It's understanding their experience,
right?
Understanding their perspective,
yes,
and understanding how they're going to resolve that,
right,
or move past it, or
it would be the equivalent of you walking in and saying, I didn't like where I used to live. The weather was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I immediately go, oh, shoot, bad weather's terrible. Tell me more.
You don't need to know the name of the city.
Yeah. Just teach me more now. Okay, it was bad weather. What did that mean to you? Oh, it was hurricanes. Oh, it was tornadoes. Oh, it was ice. It was blizzard. Jim, do you think that was just called bad weather? Look, it's all a distraction, right? So I'm not going to sit here and pontificate about whether it's crossed a threshold called emotional abuse. If for you come to me and say, I felt emotionally abused by this person, we're done here. Mm-hmm. That was it. Jim, was I emotionally abused? It appears that you were. It appears that that's what your experience was. No, but Jim, was I though? Was it well, certainly it sounds like you were. You sound like that was a very unhappy relationship. You're describing that he was very difficult. He wounded you in many ways. You didn't feel loved. You didn't feel appreciated. You didn't feel cared for. And you're now unpacking the ways that it wasn't very healthy for you. Mm-hmm. And that's therapy. That's us moving in a new direction and analyzing your relationship patterns. Giving a sticky note to him to sum up everything he is, I'm not going to do that very much. Now, there are therapists that they're very comfortable using words like that. I think that therapists run the gamut from three directions. There's one type of therapist that they like that phrase and they're quick to use it. They'll hear you tell them what was bad about the relationship and they will come in and label it. And they'll say, Nick, that was emotional abuse. You are the victim of a malignant narcissist. That's what that is. And this is called emotional abuse. And I'm telling you right now, that's what they had. That's what occurred here. And now you have this. You have, relationship PTSD. And so you go, wow, I'm getting all these labels. This is very useful. And there's a type of therapist that feels that's useful and perhaps makes use of it. And I'm not here to judge them. That's not my jam. There's a middle ground.
I'm here to judge them.
Jacob will judge.
Specifically why I'm here.
That's why he's here. Yeah. So I'm your life judge, Jacob, or therapy judge, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm very good at it.
Yeah, I think he is. He's basically the American Idol of therapy. Yeah, that's a no from me, dog. The second type of therapist will not throw those words, but once you bring them, they will happily go along with that. And so you'll say, I'm a victim of emotional abuse. My ex was emotionally abusive, or my ex is narcissistic personality, or whatever. And they'll go, oh, wow, that's terrible. And then they'll just go with it. And they'll start using that interchangeably and to talk about what you went through, and they'll use it as shorthand. There's another side of it, which is more my camp, where I don't challenge that word. I don't have any beef with you using it. I see it as you painting colors for me. Mm-hmm. And these are the colors you're using to describe your experience. Whatever you use to do that is acceptable to me. If you use zodiac signs, if you tell me that it was emotional abuse, if you tell me that this person had a past life as Napoleon Bonaparte and that really came through in the relationship that you had with them because here's how they behaved to you, and you think it's because they were Napoleon in a past life. I don't, whatever your conclusions are, I'm interested in how you're teaching me what your experience was like. And as long as you accomplish that, our work is going to be successful. And so I don't tend to harp on those words because, writer, I agree with you. They are very difficult to define. And I think I've got a little bit of beef, as Nick made a joke earlier about Instagram and TikTok. There's a lot of therapists right now that, because they want as much attention as they can get, which I don't blame them. I do a podcast. Obviously, I'm a whore for attention too. But the long form project allows us to really talk about things. If you're trying to kick out a 30-second TikTok and get as many looks or likes as you can, you go with things that are the shortest possible verbiage to get the most possible appeal. And so that's where we're seeing the proliferation of weaponized mental health words as if they have real definition to them. And that's getting really tricky, and we're seeing the advent of terms that are not technically clinical. And we've talked about that on the show before. I won't get out my whole dictionary of words that feel gray and blurry, and I don't like them. But emotional abuse is one of them. It's sometimes not very clear.
And the term itself, it's a real thing. It's one of those things where it's it's easy to identify, when it's very obvious.
Right.
I can think of examples of people I know that I feel went through some emotionally
abused. Yeah.
And then I can also think of some examples too where, where the term can be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
I'm upset with
That's what I don't like.
I'm upset with my ex.
Yeah.
So I'm telling everybody I was emotionally abused.
Right.
Why?
And what I'm really trying to
because-
say is
because
he
she
was an
broke up with
emotional
me.
abuser.
Right.
And that's it. And there's a lot of times that emotional abuse is code for person is emotional abuser.
Right.
They are abusive. And that's what we're really trying to do, is we're trying to otherize them. And I get it. We've been wounded by them. We're hurt by them. But sometimes the right nomenclature is to say, I've been through an emotionally painful relationship. It took a lot more from me than it gave.
I'm hurting.
I'm wounded.
Yeah.
I'm here because I'm wounded. Okay. You got bit by a dog. You're bleeding. Let's work on that. And I realize that dog to you is ferocious and horrible. To me, I don't know that dog went out of their way to bite you. I think that they probably had their dog logic on this, and I'm not here to justify it, but I'm not sitting here to label that thing as a vicious animal that should be put down.
And
I'm caring for your wound.
Yeah, so from your perspective, the dog's irrelevant.
Mostly, yeah. I'm mentioning your experience with the dog.
Exactly.
And that's it.
And that's where it becomes really difficult because
Yeah.
you have to not get distracted, but also validate what that person went through.
Because that's
and
their
it's kind
truth.
of a fine line.
And that's their experience.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm not interested. It's that at the end of the day, I'm obsessed with what's going to be right for you.
Yeah.
What your next step looks like, what solutions look like for you. And a lot of people come to me, and I'm not saying the writer's doing this, but this is something I relate to. A lot of people come to me because they're waiting for me to be the judge about something. They've come to me so I can tell them the magic phrase. This person was an emotional abuser. This person had malignant narcissism. This person XYZ. That way they can go, oh, I knew it.
I knew I was right.
Okay, I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it, God. And I get it. They're like, oh, that's such a relief to know. It clicks. All the dots click. I've talked to all these people. They've told me this. I've seen these things online. It seems like this. And you know what? I just needed to talk to a professional about it because it all seemed pretty subjective and pretty wishy-washy. And today, the stars are coming together. I get it now. And look, that's a very human thing. You're not silly for wanting that. But I am a clinician. I am a professional, right? I'm not, doing a freaking, seance here or tarot card reading, just telling you what you want to hear. If you come to me and say, do they meet the clinical definition of X, Y, or Z? If you ask me, I'm going to say, it's not very clear. That's not a real clinical definition. But then I'm going to very subtly and quickly pivot back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like your experience was just horrible. Jim, it really was. Okay, show me the bite. Show me the wound. That's what I'm interested in. Because whatever we're going to call that animal, whether we're calling him a wolf or a guard dog, whether we're calling it an accident or a vicious attack, whether we're calling it a misunderstanding where your hand was in the wrong place at the wrong time and they just bit at you because that's what dogs do, or whether we're saying that dog was abused and that's why it attacked you, or whether saying that dog chased you for 3 miles so it could get a piece of you because it wanted you. At the end of the day, show me the boo-boo, because that's what we have to work on. This is relevant insofar as it was informative, as it teaches me about your wounds. That's what's important to me.
So in answer to your question, yes, it's very subjective.
It is.
There you go.
Nailed it.
I think the definition of emotional abuse is painfully thick. I think it's just
Painfully. Yeah.
such a dumb slogan. Painfully thick.
So I hope that was helpful.
Oh God, this milkshake is painfully thick.
Also, all these boys are in my yard. It's not in my yard.
This painfully thick milkshake is just attracting the boys. Great question, writer, and thank you for bringing this question, because I think it allows us to comment on some ways that something can be non-clinical but still important, and how we kind of get into the weeds of that. So, and how a lot of other people don't, and that's, I don't think, does service to the community. So. Anyway, we are getting toward the end of the show, Nick. What kinds of stuff do we need to announce?
Well, we need to draw for free merch.
Ooh.
It's the end of the quarter, so you know what that means. And if you don't, I'm going to say it anyway.
Tell us, Nick.
If you are so at the end of every quarter, we draw for free merch from the store. So if you are a Theradactyl or a Thera producer.
There it is.
And you have been
and
since,
their partner. There's one their partner.
And you have been since July, so we're drawing
for the quarter.
July, August, September.
Now, the Thera partner is automatically enrolled without having to be a whole quarter.
Yeah, well, we only have one.
Yeah, they're just in. Their partner level is just in on everything we do.
Well, wasn't he already?
We'll also go camping.
He was already a Thera producer.
Yeah, Dirty B, we'll go camping with you if you want.
This whole line of questioning is irrelevant.
Sorry, go on.
Anyway.
Sorry, I'm just going to hold the cough
the
button.
The Thera partner qualifies under the criteria that Nick just laid out.
The cough button down.
Okay,
Jim is on the cough button.
I just discovered one day that we can actually just do gift cards.
Oh yeah, that's way smarter than what we've been doing.
Yeah, so we've been trying to guess what people
we
want.
usually like, you get shoes.
Yeah.
You get a scarf.
So now I think 50?
Yeah, that feels
$50.
Right. Yeah.
So we're going to do a $50 gift card.
Yeah.
To the Bait and Tackle store for
and you can write in. Here's how you can make it best of both worlds. You can write in and ask us to pick the piece of merchandise that you're going to buy with your gift card.
Yeah.
So if you like the idea of us picking it, we'll still do that.
Yeah.
You just ask us, which piece of merchandise should I get? And we'll just tell you.
Yeah.
And for all of you who just did the math, for all of you who can do arithmetic, and you said, wait a minute, a Theradactyl is $10 a month. They, for 3 months, get a $50 gift card.
That's right.
How is your show financially successful? Excellent question.
Yeah.
We're just doing this for fun. But boy, are we thankful. And now we get to celebrate somebody.
All right.
So how are we doing this random drawing?
I have actually put all of the names in random order.
Okay.
Ooh.
So Jacob is going to use the random number generator in his head.
17.
And okay.
That's a big number.
I don't know how many people are on this
list.
list.
Yeah, I know. He's a 422. Shit.
Our winner is Kayla Lansbury.
Kayla Lansbury. Oh, cool. Good for Kayla.
And there was much rejoicing.
There was much rejoicing. Kayla deserves it.
Finally.
Yeah, Kayla needed a W.
She can finally quit her
use this $50 gift card to take some time off work and really just regroup. This is the sabbatical that you've needed for a long time.
Quit your job.
Yeah, this is what you needed.
I'm going to message you right now and tell you.
Congratulations.
Quit your job.
Or condolences.
You've won.
You've won. Yeah. So thank you for all of you who support us at patreon.com/therapy. And a reminder that we have a lot of great stuff up there. We have a library of content, deep dives, interviews, and more on the way. And so in October, we've got deep dives coming on the relationship of serotonin and depression and cutting-edge research on that topic. We've got the live interview with me and two other experts at a behavioral health convention. And so a lot of neat stuff coming down the pipe. Nick's got some cookies in the oven he's working on that's going to talk about some of the relationship between fitness and cookies and mental health. So lots of great stuff coming. And remember that at patreon.com/therapy, you are accessing an RSS feed that you put into your podcast app that gives you our episodes a day earlier than are released to the public. And you get that whole additional hour that you always kind of hear the tail end of as we start the show. And then you'll also, if you are a Therapod or higher, get access to all this upcoming new deep dives and interviews. But any amount of support will access the entire library over the last 5 years of really great content that you can get access to. And then, of course, you access our Discord, our area where we all talk online and chat. It's very supportive, wonderful community, lots of wonderful people there. And if you are a pterodactyl or higher, you will get entered into our quarterly merch giveaway, as you just heard. So here it is, the first of the month, and the first episode of the month, we always review and thank all of those who are theropods or higher. Of course, we thank our theraproducers every episode, and since we finally got our first therapartner, we make sure every episode to bend the knee, and of course thank Dirty B. Dirty B, therapartner. Extraordinaire.
You, Dirty B.
Thank you.
I don't like their partner. I'm just not sold
You're trying to,
yet.
you're okay. Dirty B wasn't passionate about it. I'm pretty sure Dirty B didn't even care. So
Sure.
we are now accepting new possible names. We got to have a word that starts with a P, though, like all the rest of them do. It's like theraproducer, therapanda. I thought that would be a nice one.
Yeah.
We can
We'll workshop
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I have a little list of suggestions, but I thought therapope, that could be a fun one. Therapapacy, that's nice. No?
No.
But we do want to welcome new Therapal. Who's new to the team here, Nick?
Oh, shit. I wasn't ready. I'm
Greg
sorry.
Pinn. Thank you, Greg
I was
Pinn.
trying to come up with a discount code for Kayla.
You're doing great. Thanks for doing that administrative stuff right now while we're airing this episode.
I'll forget if I get home and I don't.
Great way to prioritize the stuff that are happening right here on the show. Thank you, Greg Pinn, for being our newest Therapal. By the way, whenever you join at patreon.com/therapy, we will announce it on Twitter the same day, and then we will greet you and thank you on the next recorded episode. So if you have, if you're not hearing your name today and you just recently became a Patreon, you will find in a future episode that we thank you. Also, a new Therapod, Charlie Quadratic. I like
Quadratic.
that. I like that. That's a really good one. And a new theraproducer, Hey Yo.
Hey, yo.
Hey Yo. That'll be fun to read every week.
I know.
So welcome to all the newbies. Excited to have you with us. But of course, it's the first week of the month, and so we want to read our list of all those who support us at the Therapod level and higher. Let's talk about our Therapods. I'm talking about Dan Martin, who is whooping some ass in the Fantasy Football League. I think Dan is hanging in there strong.
Great.
So welcome Dan Martin, Robert Paulson, Kate Keller, Scoop Sternot, Linda Brandmeier, Corey Owens, Joseph Pengrazio, Brad Kiefaver, Christine Phillips, Tracy Raplogel, a.k.a. my mom, Gavin Bristow, Carrie Terhark, a.k.a. Nick's sister, Stacy Westerlin, Richard Bruin, Scoopy Jess, Ian Whitefall, James K., Chelsea Saracen, Kiwi Fruit Scoop.
There you go.
Nailed it. Craig Little, Katie Chiwakowski, Don Dorr, Jim Hunter, Adam Rabiznik, Okie Scoop, Brooks Lyle, Matthew Nair, Three Scoops a Lady, Take It Evie Podcast, Sustainable Transportation for All, Todd Canfield, Felicia Butler, David Sorensen, Shayla Bullock, Scoopatron, Lauren Izzo in the Hizzo, Stacy Coleman, Adam Pedinuzzo, Mats Lenegren, Heather, Ian Soto, Jessica Cyphers, Andrew Langmead, Charlie Quinn Starling, Natalie MC, That Josh Guy, Dr. Scoop Little, Mama Ninja Scoop, James Dawson, Colson Morrow, Jacob Harrington, Sarah Olo, Grumpy Lake Mead Park Ranger, Amanda H., Kiana Killjoy, Sam Buck, Lee Popsicle, Karen McCulloch, Scoop Nato Bait, Megan Smith, Kate with an I, What Weekend, Some Nobody, Lila, Ethan Livney, Levine, nailed it. Lovely Spark, Nippy, Alec Lancaster, and Alec, by the way, who I'm playing in fantasy football this week as we record this, and is not looking good. I need to get rid of Russell Wilson. This guy's a piece of hot garbage.
Oh, he's an anchor.
I need to drop that dude.
Yeah.
He's not helping me. Anna, Keely Benty, Lil Bear, Ken Tinsley, Duffy the slowly getting their therapist bear, Ulti Engi, Anana Nurse, and Charlie Quadratic. Thank you. To
I've
all
got
of
the
our
new. I've got the new
Therapods.
name.
Okay.
Therapartner. Theraphile. File
Means lover of. Yeah.
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 I like Theraphile.
I have mixed feelings about it.
Why, Jim?
I just feel like I could see it not being great.
How's that?
I don't know. I mean, there's other words that kind of suffix
Like
that.
bibliophile?
Yeah,
like lover of books?
cinemaphile. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Anglophile.
Yeah.
Lover of all things English.
Yeah. I don't see why that would mess that up.
That's what I worry about. I just worry that we'll sully the good name of other things.
Okay, okay.
That people love other things. And
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel like this ruins that.
I'm going to say
image, so.
Theraphile.
You know what? Let's bookmark it. Let's just throw that on the pile and see how that plays.
Yep.
So we'll see how it feels. Maybe Dirty B wants to be called a therophile.
As you guys are thinking about that, I want to thank our pterodactyls: Ice Blue Scoop, Brian Lehman, Scott Brady, Fred Bashara Jr., Andrea Anderson, Lindsay Bashara, Colin, Slurpee motherfucker, Frozen, Cusser, Lori Eltsroth, Ryan Stewart, Scott Ashlock, Robert Ward, Chris, Cy Schnonigan, Sandra McWaffle, Not a Scoop Solo Cody, Dank Bada, and Tony Skyana.
I love that you've consistently gone with the dank butter thing.
Yep.
Also, our Discord is now decorated for Halloween, thanks to Manu. She's replaced the pot of our little brain tree with a pumpkin in our logo.
I saw that.
It's
That was
really
cool.
cute. Yeah, it's super cute. I'm sure I'll post it in October. She sent me the image, so I'm sure I'll put it out there. But anyway, thank you to everybody who supports our show. And of course, the Thera producers who slog through this terrible podcast just to make it work for everybody else. So want to thank those bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, those Thera producers and higher. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Don. Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's the
it.
same name we've been reading off
Yeah.
for literally a year and
I
a
don't
half.
know. When you see letters, it's kind of hard. Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Nathan's Meat Tube Sandwich, Malia, Leon Kassab, Cindy Ash, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Newstick, Pillow Scoop. Fuck you, whoever you are. I remember seeing this on the Discord where they were like, hey, let's all change our names to shit Jim can't say. And there was like this revolution.
I like it.
Yeah, and I nailed it. So fuck you. Ben Stanley, Slap in Your Face, Dirty B, Polygon, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Myra, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Teen Monaco, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangman. And
Tangement, Jesus Christ. That's my fucking name. How do you not know that?
I don't know. It's just weird. I can't pronounce it. So strange. And of course, welcome to our newest Thera producer, Hey Yo. And of course, a special end of the show shout out to our Thera partner. And we're welcoming new suggestion names because apparently Nick doesn't like Thera partner. But thank you especially to Dirty B.
Yeah, so anyway, let me just say real quick.
Yeah.
The names are all reorganized
Okay.
because I have a lot of anxiety and paranoia that, like, I miss somebody.
Oh, okay.
Like, somebody's been a Thera producer for a long time, and I
Oh.
just forgot to put the name in.
Okay.
And I've not touched that list since, like, like I just keep adding names to it.
Oh, you never go back through to
I
like
never go
check
back
if
through
somebody
just to make
left or
sure.
anything
Yeah,
like that.
So,
Okay, yeah.
So then I finally, like, today I went through
Oh, that's
and
why
I reorganized
it's all
everything.
reorganized.
So
Okay,
that's why
got it.
that's
got
why
it.
it is.
Thank
the
you for
way it
staying
is.
up on that. That's
Yeah.
good.
So,
Yeah. This is the part where you
so
read
my
that.
turn to talk?
Yeah, you can read that.
If you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited
And why wouldn't
a
you?
great question.
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That is all the time we've got for this week's session. Want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really do appreciate it. Remember, Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share this episode through the social media and tag us when you do. You can tag us as on Facebook.com/PodTherapy, on Twitter at PodTherapyGuys, on Instagram at PodTherapyGuys, and of course, don't forget our Patreon.com/therapy.
I'm sorry, I'm still working on Kayla's discount.
Man, I'm glad you made that a priority.
Do
Just
you
doing
wanna-
great.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick
I'm
Tangeman.
painfully thick.
Thanks. We'll see you for your appointment next week.
What's the tiebreaker?
Okay, here it is. This is so bad. This one's terrible.
The first two were joy. I
Yeah.
mean, just
Alright.
pure joy.
Good luck, painfully thick.
Okay, here's the slogan.
Yeah.
Look like a girl, act like a lady, think like a man, work like a boss.
This
The
is so
man's
horrible.
ear. That is Jerry Stiller's catchphrase from the Man's Ear episode of Seinfeld.
Whoa.
Is it? Is it Bic pens, Schlitz beer, Kenmore washing machines, or Mr. Clean mopping soap?
Oh my God! I
Oh.
can't